You mean more shows or dressed like a penguin?
More shows, no penguins. So
There you go. More
how
cowbell.
was how was your Halloween?
It was good. We had some trick-or-treaters, but not that many. So I was stuck with a lot of candy, and the guy who mows my lawn got a big bag of candy from me. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. We're on an island and we didn't have any trick-or-treaters. Literally, nobody even swam up. I thought maybe they come on canoe or paddleboard with like a plastic pumpkin. No, it didn't happen.
Oh, that's funny. That's so funny.
So, Lori, we've got a great guest today, and I'm excited to bring her out. But before we do, I'm going to spotlight you as always, and do tell what's going on with Lori Mendelsohn.
Well, I'll be happy to tell you what's going on with me, Dr. Jacalyn. So I'm getting really busy writing dating app profiles. I think that people are eager to meet each other now, especially with the holidays coming up. They want someone to come to their turkey dinner. They want someone for Hanukkah and Christmas, and of course, a New Year's date. So it's cuffing season. So people are getting eager to find their mates. And did a room last week in the the single over 50 club that I have. And people were asked to talk about their worst dates ever. And some were very funny and some were actually very frightening, where safety was impaired. So it was really good to throw some tips out about how to safely date, and be very mindful of that. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm on Clubhouse and starting to do the single over 50 room consistently. Have a great
Okay.
group of mods, and yeah, we just keep going.
Well, congratulations. I know that you are really building a great presence over there in Clubhouse. As I mentioned before, I'm not on there. I mean, I'm on there, but I'm not on there. But I've met so many amazing people. I'm very grateful to the Clubhouse platform, people from all over the world, some of whom had a major impact on me building this platform. So yay, Clubhouse.
Yeah, yay, that's right. That's right. Terrific.
So I'm going to bring out our guest. Her name is Antia Boyd, and she's an expert and speaker. Her website is magnetizeyourman.com, and she has a free gift for our audience, which I'll let her explain. So let's bring her out. She's joining us from the great state of California. Hello, welcome.
Hello, ladies. How
Hello,
are you?
Antia.
Hi, it's nice to see you. And we talked earlier that you and I are sort of matching. We've got something going here.
I mean, look at us. I had no idea 5 minutes ago what I'm going to wear. Something drew me, something magical.
So, Antia, you have done so much work helping people, and I know that that's a big part of who you are. How did you get started, and why is this so important to you?
Yeah, so I actually grew up in an emotionally absent household, meaning I always say like hugs and kisses were as common as Christmas and Thanksgiving falling on the same day, since we're already on the topic. And in what that really meant was, right, like my mom would like tell me, don't bother me. And I learned, okay, like don't be a burden. And then of course that translated into me attracting a lot of men into my life who made me feel like I'm a burden, right? I attracted a lot of unavailable men into my life who made me all those promises and then left me rejected and disappointed over and over again, until I said, you know what? I'm the common denominator, isn't that so? Day in, week out, like it's me. And so I took a massive step. I always say if you want to have massive results in your life, you got to take massive action. So I got myself out of Germany into UC Berkeley, which was really one of the leading universities when it comes to attachment style theory, and learned under a master student of Mary Ainsworth. Some of you who are familiar with attachment style theory, that's a big deal. And, I just said, you know what? Maybe if I understand this on an intellectual level, then I'll heal my wound pattern, right, with my mom. And of course, that didn't happen. But I started to study more. I got myself into more workshops, seminars, and wouldn't you know it, more and more women were coming to me and asking me advice, even though I didn't have anything to show for it. But all I did was a lot of workshops, a lot of seminars. And so I actually became an expert first before it showed up for myself, So I helped women. I walked them down the aisle. I was the maid of honor. All the things happened. But essentially, the reason why I really believe in coaching, particularly because I'm a dating and love coach, is because the fish doesn't know that it's wet. Meaning you don't know what you don't know, and you can have all the intellectual knowledge in the world, but unless you actually integrate it and you break through your own, what I call vulnerability thresholds, which I did when I had my particular love expert, um, you're not going to get the results, right? And then I met my husband, who ironically said, you're the girl of my story from the first night we met, and then actually followed up accordingly. Because I had lots of men who made me empty promises, so that wasn't that wasn't a big deal for me. But what was a big deal is actually consistent follow through, right? Like he sent me actually a text message and so on. And so anyway, so we built a business together. It's been now almost, so we met 8 years ago. I've been doing now unofficially for 10 years. I've spoken on over hundreds of stages, including Harvard, Google, particularly on shame, vulnerability, right? Because a lot of women feel that they can attract the right man for them without having to make themselves vulnerable. And ladies, I hate to tell you, but it's not gonna happen. Yeah.
Antia, thank you so much for sharing part of your story. And I really connected with you when you were talking about what is the common denominator in a lot of these bad relationships. And it was me, always me attracting the wrong type of men. So my question for you is, when you were running these workshops and you were helping other people, was it also helping you at the same time to deal with the pain that you had?
Yeah, ironically so, because even to this day, a lot of women that come to me, I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about this aspect that I experienced in my childhood. So I'll have like a woman come to me and she'll explain a certain scenario she experienced with her dad or with her mom. And yeah, even to this day, like still like so many aspects are coming up. I always say it's like teach learning, right? Like who's the student, who's the teacher? I don't know, because we're both, I always tell my clients, I don't know who walked away more inspired after the coaching calls, you or me.
That's great, because it's key learning for both parties, which I think makes it a value for value exchange, which everybody feels good about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think one belief is, and you may agree with that too, Laurie, is actually believing really that that the woman has the wisdom inside of herself, that it's not about you talking at her and saying, here's this and here's that, right? But it's like, what do you think? You went through this experience. You have this resources inside of yourself. You may not have VIP access, I call it, to those resources because I haven't used them in 20 years, but it doesn't mean that they're not available for you.
That's right. Anita, I'd like to ask you about the attachment styles. You when you started telling us your story, you were telling us about that, and maybe some of our listeners don't know what that is. Could you explain it for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So attachment style is really a theory that describes a bonding system that really starts with the mom, which is the primary caregiver usually, and of course the infant, right? And so what we saw so when Mary Ainsworth did the strange situation study at UC Berkeley, and what she did was she actually put babies up to 1.5 years old, like in a room with the mom and the stranger. And then after a while told the mom leave, because we actually want to see how does the baby respond at departure. And what we saw 3 different responses actually. And so one was that the baby got really upset, which that's actually normal, because you should be upset when your primary caregiver leaves because you bonded to them. However, we also saw the kind of pattern where the baby didn't cry at all, which was very unusual. It was almost like not touched at all, which we of course refer to as the avoidant attachment style. But what was even more telling, which was very interesting, was actually when the mom returned. That's when we could actually distinguish the 3 attachment styles, which is of course secure, avoidant, and anxious. And I'm just going to go very surface here, because obviously there's subcategories. But the secure attachment style baby was easily soothed when the mom returned, right? The avoidant one didn't even care. Didn't care when the mom left, didn't care when the mom came back. So it's just sort of like, just keep playing and I don't really need anyone. However, what was really interesting and made a huge distinction was for the anxious attachment style baby, they could not be consoled. So the mom would hold them and try to soothe them. And it was really interesting because part of their body, when you watch it, you can watch it here on YouTube, part of their body was actually leaning in and holding on to the mom, and the other part was pushing away. So right away, you were kind of like signaled, you know what, this baby's learning not to trust their primary caregiver anymore, but on the other hand, also desperately needed, right? Because life becomes like a gamble. So now just quickly moving that fast forward into adult relationships, well, then you have, of course, the women who are like checking their phone every 5 minutes. I don't know if you watched He's Just Not That Into You.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
I can't think of the, oh gosh, what was the cute one who had like the curly hair? I forgot her name, but she was constantly, even in the yoga, while she taking the yoga class, she was checking her phone while she was on downward dog, and she would check if the phone is still working. So that's why you have the anxious attachment style, right? Because they already anticipate that they're gonna get rejected. And so, but they don't want to get rejected. So it's almost like ironic, right? So they already know it's going to happen, but they don't want it to happen. And then they attract, of course, the avoidant attachment style, which of course is the perfect match for them because the avoidant attachment style wants to have space. The avoidant attachment style learned, you know what? The closer I get to a person, the more dangerous the whole situation gets, the more there's a likelihood that I'm not going to survive. So guess what? Like the avoidant attachment style may fantasize and may actually tell you, you're the always wanted, never expected miracle. However, he's never going to follow through because it would be way too terrifying for him or her, depending on, obviously for me, for the women, it's like they attract avoidant men into their life, right? Because they would actually feel the closer I get, the more I lose myself, the more I'm going to get hurt or may even die.
Wow.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell.
So do the oh my God, I've forgotten the three, but which one falls into codependency? It's the anxious, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So would you say, by and large, someone who is codependent falls into that category, or have you seen people who are codependent be avoidant and secure or secure?
No, it's really the anxious for sure, because the anxious becomes other focused and the codependent is also other focused, right? The secure attachment style is self focused. So they're actually saying, how do I like the temperature in the room? Let's say you're in the same room with your partner, right? But the codependent is going to say, oh, how's my partner feeling? Is my partner cold, right? Oh, it's fine, it's fine. As a matter of fact, it's interesting. Have you ever watched this, like Jimmy Kimmel, like I ate all your candy? That was like mean tricks, since we talk about Halloween. Basically Jimmy Kimmel has this one part of his show every time for Halloween where the parents are supposed to pretend they ate all the candy and they tell the kids that. And what was really interesting is the last video I saw, the woman told her son, who was like 6 years old or so, and you saw him changing into become a codependent pattern, because instead of holding her accountable and saying, you did something wrong, you ate my candy, that's my possession, you did not ask me, right? You stepped through my boundaries. He said, I'm not mad at you, right? That's a very codependent response. And I told my husband, I'm like, here you go. You already have a codependent boy at 6 years old. Good job, Mom. Good job.
Wow.
He must be fun to watch a movie with.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You could start a whole new review system. Not on how good the movie was, or the acting, or the directing, or anything like that. It would be the specific personality traits of each of the actors, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, when you go to my YouTube channel, Antia Boyd, I did for a while just review some of the Bachelor episodes. Obviously, it's all staged.
That'd be great.
But I was bringing out some of the attachment style behaviors, how, for example, a woman would share everything about herself on a first date, another signal for an anxious attachment style, right? Way too much, overloads everybody's system. So the man almost has no choice than to leave, because what do you do when you're stuffed? Like a turkey on Thanksgiving.
That's true. That's a good point.
Right?
That's a very good point.
You have to walk away. You don't say, I want more. I can't wait to go out with you again, Dr. Jacalyn or Lori, right? Like they're like, I need a break. Oh my gosh, I can't talk to this woman for 2 weeks. And then maybe I'm going to go on another date. You know what I mean?
I love this conversation. I do have a question. We're going to take a break, but I'd like to come back with this. And I know you just touched on it. I'm looking at it from a different perspective. So I was always the one, the guys would say, tell me where you want to go for dinner. Or what do you want to do for dinner? And then I'd say, well, I really want to go to XYZ. Well, we're going over here instead. Like whatever it was, I would say, well, we're going to do this instead. And I'd be like, why are you even asking me? Like you take the time to ask me, but you don't want to do it anyway. So we already know you're not going to do what I say. Is that a narcissist? I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
but
I just wanted to say that looks like a narcissist, right? Because a narcissist is tell me your boundary and I'll break it over and over again, because it's like, and this is like where we can mix it up with, because the narcissists oftentimes have also more masculine strikes. So if we were dating more the feminine guys who are like, oh, I don't know what to do and tell me where to meet and, what do you want to do next week? And it's all on you.
Yeah.
Then when women meet narcissists, which by the way, codependence, Lori. Okay. So codependent women love narcissists.
Love
it.
Oh my God, he leaves.
Oh,
He
and the
takes
narcissist
charge.
love the
Oh, he's
codependent
wonderful.
one. Oh, super, because the codependent one is focused on other people. So the narcissist just all about himself, right? And then the codependent is saying, oh, great, finally masculine man is taking charge. But you want to be aware of if there's a repeating pattern of never taking your desires or what you just expressed into any consideration. And there's almost like a little bit of a condescension with that. There's a little bit this like, yeah, haha, no, we're not going to go here. We're going to go here. And because he's testing you. You can even see it in online dating. I'm sure you see that too, Lori, when you write profiles or when you talk to women, like how the men are already like testing the waters, like from the first conversation on in online dating. Like you can tell if somebody is more moving towards a narcissistic, at least pattern.
It's so true. You know what? I just decided that instead of worrying, like Lori, we're talking about the holidays are coming up and people want to get dates. I'm just going to have a big sign made that says, here's a narcissist. And that'll be my date. I'll just walk around with the sign, here's a narcissist. And I won't have to go through the pain. It'll just be like, all right, seriously. In all seriousness, we're going to take a break and we're going to hear from singer-songwriter from the UK. Her name is Sam Sarah. And the name of her song is Nothing Is Wrong With Me. And then we will be right back. Thanks. Stay with us here on It's All About Dating. Thank you to vocalist, songwriter, and executive producer Sam Sarah, who released her song Here First. She actually wrote it and produced it and directed it in 2017 and released it here first. So thank you to her. Welcome back. We're here at USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio on It's All About Dating. We've got Lori Mendelsohn in the house, and we've got our great guest, Antia Boyd. Antia is a coach. She is an expert and a speaker. She has a beautiful website, magnetizeyourman.com, and she's got a special gift. Tell us about that gift, if you would.
Yeah, so for the women who are like, gosh, you're for sure going to get some juicy, yummy gifts that I have for you that are super relevant to you overcoming any codependent tendencies. Definitely become more secure in your insecurities if you're more in the anxious attachment style realm. And finally, trust yourself again. So that's mymquiz.com. And with a little bit of luck, we may even hop on the phone together to chat a little bit more detail about what's happening in your world and how I can support you to attract that amazing man into your life.
Thank you so much, and thanks for offering that gift to our audience. We greatly appreciate it. In our first segment, Antia shared a little bit about her background, her relationship with her mother, and then how this perpetuated into relationships with men. She's highly educated, extremely accomplished. She's spoken on some of the most well-known stages in the world, and she is gracing us with her presence today. She also has a book, if you could hold that up for us. Right behind you, yes. And Magnetize Your Man. And she's going to read from it, and I'm so excited so we can have further discussion.
All right, awesome. So what I want to talk about is oftentimes we forget when we go into where I talk about the 6 feminine archetypes. So what oftentimes happens is women actually get into a place where they feel helpless, powerless, don't have the resources, especially because of rejection. And what they forget that only a part of them feels that, right? There's actually other parts that can take care, which I call archetypes of them. And so I'm just going to read a little bit. Mastering your 6 feminine archetypes. So I'm going to go into what the 6 are. Do you have moments when you think a part of me wants to go out, but another part of me wants to stay home and work? Parts conflict. This chapter is dedicated to these different parts of you, and we're actually going to put names to your 6 feminine archetypes. Between the two of us, we've helped thousands of single women all over the world attract the right man. Through that work, we have found that women have many conflicts inside, but so little awareness of the resources they also have within. We all have different energies or characters inside of us. These characters are called archetypes. Many of us make the mistake of identifying with one of those archetypes and thinking that's all we are rather than just a part of who we are. In reality, you have all of these archetypes inside of you, and all of them can help you. The 6 primary archetypes for women are the queen, the lover, the warrioress, the priestess, the little girl, and the wild woman. And so the goal is to understand how each of these is expressed and works uniquely for you. Some will be stronger than others. So we all have a unique cocktail inside of ourselves. Your job is to get them all into a healthy balance. It's almost more actually like a harmony. When you do balance them, you'll be a fully empowered woman, and that empowerment will draw the right man to you like a moth to a flame. He will see that you have range, that you are a healthy and psychologically integrated person, and he will want in on the life and balance you have created for yourself. Understanding these archetypes is also super powerful when you're dating. When you recognize your own archetypes, you will be able to see where the man is off in his archetypes or where he can strengthen his own archetypes. So I'm going to leave it at that so you can have a little bit of conversation.
I want this book.
It's on Amazon.
I got to get this book. I'd like to ask you, Anita, about vulnerability.
Yeah.
You know, we all want the other person to be, but yet we're afraid to be vulnerable ourselves because of our past traumas and our walls and fear and etc. So can we talk about vulnerability a little bit? And if you know Brene Brown, get her in the room too, the queen of vulnerability.
You know, she actually said there is no selective dimming of emotions, right? So we can't just say, oh, I just want to have the happy emotions, but the vulnerable ones, not so much, right? It's like you will dim every expression across the board. And so basically, I mean, it even starts with shadow work. You know, my husband and I, we did what was called a shadow ceremony the night before our wedding. Because what happens is, right, I think wedding is such an epitome of like, you know, everything's going to be great and it's going to be all roses. And it's definitely nothing vulnerable about that. But actually seeing like, well, what are you afraid of, right? So the night before that, we were actually saying, what are your what are your skeletons in the closet? What is something you don't want me to know, right? Or what is some fears that that may come up in the marriage, right? And it was so powerful that we actually took the two main key parts into our actual ceremony. And it was funny because nobody knew if they actually were at a breakup or at a wedding, because they never heard anyone actually share what they're scared of in their marriage, which of course then made more room for more authenticity, right? Mm-hmm. So I shared that my biggest fear back then was to not be good enough for him, because he has the perfect balance between all of his archetypes. I always joke, but it's true. It's really true. And for him, it was to be trapped, based on his own childhood upbringing, right? Which of course triggered me, of course, because the shadows will trigger each other. But I do believe that you have to lead with vulnerability, because otherwise you can't grow together. You can't create the trust, the authenticity. Women always come to me and say, I want this deep, connected, authentic, intimate, long-term relationship. And I was like, BS, you want that. I guarantee you 9 out of 10 women are not willing to do the work. And I'll give you an example. We had so many people who ask us for our wedding vows, right? Especially the shadow ones. Like at our wedding ceremony, they're like, oh, I'm going to do that at my wedding. Oh, once I get married, I'm going to do that at my wedding. Well, they all got married like after a year or 2 or 3 or 4, right? And nobody did even like one aspect of that, right? So again, it goes to show it's like a nice idea. It's a novelty, right? It's something different. But then to actually do it and to be, wow, I'm going to have to face my shame, and I'm going to have to face my sense of inadequacy from my childhood and my sense of insecurity. I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, no, let's just like pretend everything is happy and, kumbaya. So I'm a huge proponent of leading vulnerably. Even when I met my husband, Brody, I told him, hey, look, I have something what's called an anxious attachment style. Now, I was lucky a little bit because my husband had worked with men already for, 8 years back then. So, no, more like 6 years. So he started when he was 19, individual personal development growth work. So he had a little bit of an idea, concepts, frameworks. And I said, and then how that shows up, it's like, I start to act funny, and then, but I just want to let you know, I'm not holding you responsible for it. You don't have to solve the problem, right? I just want to let you know how I'm going to act, that you don't think you did something wrong, right? So I'm a huge proponent to be vulnerable from the get-go, because guess what? The man is going to pick up on it anyways. Research shows that men are actually more sensitive than we women believe.
I agree with you. Absolutely, I do.
That's really fascinating. A lot of great information. Antia, I have a question for you, and this is just something that comes up for me. Is it possible to be vulnerable, for me to be vulnerable, when I'm in my masculine energy? Because I feel like I'm in that drive, ambition mode all the time. So the feminine side has been sort of put to the wayside. So is it possible to still be vulnerable like this?
It's really hard to say, because I really believe that when we're in the masculine, we're sort of more in the sympathetic response, like taking care of business, moving as fast as we can, right? Versus like the vulnerability always comes from a place of reflection and reception that happens more in the parasympathetic, right? So like, I don't think I've ever met someone who was in the sympathetic and the parasympathetic at the same time. But what I teach my women is transition. Like transition, like how easy is it for you to transition from the masculine to the feminine? So let's say you're like a top-notch lawyer, doctor, so all those really successful women that come to me all the time, right? And how easy is it for you to transition to say, you know what, I'm going to take off my coat, right? I'm going to let myself a bath, or maybe even just put on like satin, something sensual, or maybe just turn on some music. How easy is that for me to transition from the masculine to the feminine? And then if that's hard, then I say, well, then practice transitioning from the feminine to the masculine, because what we want to get out of is the rigidity. Because what happens is with some of the brains, when you're really anxious, is it can actually lock in place, right? That's when women become obsessive when they're anxious, and they can't think of anything else, right? They can't eat, they can't sleep, like their girlfriend may try to talk to them about something else, but all they're thinking about is Is the guy going to call me? Is the guy going to call me, right? So what you want to actually start practicing is like, can you become more flexible? Can you transition? Or maybe even back and forth. So what I would say to you, Dr. Jacalyn, is, so at work, I'd be like, just practice doing something for like that gets you into the feminine, even just for 5 minutes, and then transition back into the masculine, right? That would be ninja. You know, if you were to be able to do that, you know, to be like, okay, maybe, when you study NLP, right, you can anchor, for example, certain emotions. You can sit on a certain chair, or you can have a certain place in your room, or you can touch certain things. My dad used to install sort of like energy showers for my mom energetically, when I was 12, and just be like, okay, when you go in this part of the room, you're going to feel relaxed. And then it worked, right? So that's, you can do that too, and then go back to the masculine. And it's not going to be easy, because obviously it doesn't feel safe to transition necessarily. But that's actually what creates this, what we call charisma, right? That allows you to have that range. But to answer your question, I don't think you can do both at the same time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I feel like also, and again, I'm just sharing this because hopefully it resonates with other people, maybe other females who are in business or leaders or whatever, is that it takes a certain energy level to get to this point where it's like, go, get this done, clipboard, list, this, and then for the feminine to slow down and take it easy and appreciate, it's like, oh, then I got to work my way all the way back up again.
Exactly. Yeah. It's because you have a certain momentum when you're in the masculine, right? And again, you're into sort of go mode. And it's almost like the brain is in there too. It's a different part of the brain than when you're in the feminine. So you really, that's why I said you want to practice your transition. And maybe you may need 20, 30 minutes of transition. You may not be able to transition right away, right? You may need to turn on the TV right away, hear what's happening here, what's happening there. You still need that stimulation, and then slowly calm down. And some women, they can do it already as soon as they get into the car and leave the office. And they're like, okay, that's it. My mom, she would sit in the driveway. And now I know why she always did that for 10 minutes. I'm like, why is mom sitting in the driveway? You know what I mean? We're hungry. Make us lunch. You know what I mean? But I'm like, oh, she transitioned. Okay, that makes sense,
Not now, I'm transitioning.
Do not disturb transitioning. Antia, I'd love for you to read another section of your book, and then we have to have you back because there's so much more to discuss there.
Okay, awesome. So do you want me to just read from the same chapter? So maybe just a little bit of the queen. Okay,
sure.
The queen is actually perfect because the queen is the integration of it all. So the queen is powerful because, as we've already seen, she comes from balance and alignment. She's in her heart, not just in her head. She's not all willpower, but she's not all little girl. She comes from the true heart and unconditional love. This means she expresses all of her emotions, right? This is what I was talking about. Anger, rage, sadness, happiness, all of them. And she empowers people to bring out all of their emotions because, of course, they now feel they get a permission slip, right? Oh, wow, I have anger inside of me too. So I don't have to feel embarrassed because she expresses it without feeling embarrassed herself. So she doesn't enable a victim mentality. Instead, she empowers people. The queen sets clear boundaries and is very good at delegating. If you're not embracing your queen archetype, then you don't really have direction and you're not being a manager. You just have all the other archetypes going in all kinds of directions, right? So there's like no plan, right? What are we doing today? I don't know. We're going to do crafts and we're going to call a girlfriend, but like nothing really has a purpose. So imagine you're on a ship and your crew doesn't know what their jobs are. They're running all over the place, following the stories in their heads and their own agendas. That's what happens inside of you when you're not in your queen.
Wow. Powerful. Lori, what do you think about that? Queen Lori?
I gotta get the book. I don't know what else to say, but I'm getting off this. I'm going to go buy the book. It's fabulous. Anita, I really am very impressed with you. Very, very, very.
I'm glad it serves.
Yes. She even left you something in the private chat if you had to check over there.
Yeah.
So, Antia, it has been such a pleasure having you. And I'm really serious. We'd love to have you back because you bring so much insight into this program. We haven't had someone like you here before. So I think it's really helpful for our viewers and our listeners if you would join us again.
Absolutely. It'd be my pleasure.
Fantastic. I'm going to spotlight you. And if you could share the best way to reach you, especially for people listening on Business Talk Radio and they can't read the banner, and also about your special gift.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So for the women who want to find out more about my work, you can, of course, hop on over to magnetizeyourman.com. And of course, take my free quiz. See where you're at on your journey, right? Which of your archetypes are integrated? Where do you need some support? mymquiz.com is your lucky ticket.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to take the quiz myself. What do you think about that?
Let's
Always
go.
wanted to-
Totally.
Yeah.
Let's do it while we're on
I'm all
air.
curious.
Yeah, we can actually take the quiz and then we can review the results on air.
Absolutely. That sounds great.
All right. You've got a deal. There it is.
Oh,
All right. Thank you again, Antia. We'll look forward to having you back and we'll review the quiz results then.
Thank you. It's been such a joy.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It was great meeting
Bye-bye.
you.
Nice
Bye-bye.
meeting you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Wow, she was great.
She was excellent. Yeah.
She's the
So
whole package.
I just want to point out there are a lot of people who are against social media. Once again, connections that wouldn't have been made if it weren't for social media. So again, yay Clubhouse, and thank you, Antia, because she's making me think I might actually open myself up, Lori. Do you believe it?
You better read the book first,
I'm
Jacalyn.
going to read the book as I'm shut down walls.
And next week we're wearing satin pajamas on the show.
I'd like to wear a
Together, our
nightgown.
Divine feminine.
Exactly. Lori, dear Lori, it's always a pleasure seeing you.
Oh, it's mine too. Thank you, Jacalyn. I'll see you next week.
All right, wait, before you go, how do people...
There's more.
Wait, there's more. There's the Ginsu knives and the Lee press-on nails. How do people reach out to you, Lori, and who should contact you?
People who are single who are people who should contact me, and they can reach me at smartfunnysingle.com, on Clubhouse, my name, Lori Mendelsohn, and at Dating App Writer is my Clubhouse handle. So come on.
Very
come on.
nice. All right, I like it. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
All right, I look forward to seeing you again next week.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a good week.
Bye. Thanks, you
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, I just love her. She's so much great information. So I hope everybody will go over to Amazon and purchase Antia Boyd's book. And I just want to share a few things about tomorrow. We've got a full day of broadcasting. We've got some new shows. So let me just run through them quickly. We've got The Power of Manners and Etiquette, and leading that from the British School of Excellence, Philip Sykes, and our guest, Richard Cullinan. Richard is in South Africa, and Philip is over in the UK. Okay, after that, we have Fashion, Fitness, Travel, and Leisure. Our co-host is Diane Floyd-Bain, the international award-winning author. And our guest is a beautiful model and actress named Claudia. And Claudia is joining us from the UK, and Diane is in Texas. And then we've got a cooking show, The United Kitchens. Joining us from Scotland, it's Simon McDonald. And joining us from Texas, it's Ricky McHealthy McKenna. And then we have a very special show. It is a 1-hour show. It's a special event. It's the Queen of Feng Shui, Emeritus Allen, and she is joining us from the UK. And we also have Diane Floyd-Bain, who is my co-host on the other show. She is the co-host on that one. And then coming up, we have Pet Psychic Amina joining us from California, and our guest is Genevieve, and she helps with feeding the homeless dogs. So it's a really important thing. Dogs that are out on their own, how did they get taken care of? And finally, stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. Our guest is Vikram Singh Rocky Kandola. So it's a full packed day. I hope you'll join us. I'm really excited about it. And thanks again for being here today. Thank you to Antia. We're going to close out with another wonderful video. This one touches my heart every time. It's called the Earth Shot Prize. It's from Ian Pelham Turner and Helena Shard. They are over in the UK, and they are royal commentators for the British royal family. This is all about sustainability. It's called the Earth Shot Prize. Let's take a look at this, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Ours is a world of wonder. Every day it reminds us of its beauty. It touches us, teaches us, and astounds us. But it also warns us that what we throw away does not go away. That higher temperatures mean a lot more than longer summers. That we can no longer take life as we know it for granted.
We are at a unique stage in our history. Never before have we had such an awareness of what we are doing to the planet. And never before have we had the power to do something about that.
What you give me is just not enough. I need a love to take me higher.